Hello and welcome to TACOS Tuesday, episode 28. And this time it's Sebastian and myself back after last week's episode where I interviewed Carl Pronti from Combined Group, who's got the Scrub Daddy and Pink Stuff brands in Australia. And it was great to have that opportunity to interview him. And if you like that sort of format and like hearing from us doing those type of interviews, flick us a message and give us some feedback on that, and we can do more of that. We are intending to do about one a month, but let us know if that's the sort of thing that you like. So it's definitely worth going back and having a listen to that one. But in the now, obviously you're listening to this episode here, and around the hidden growth formula for your Amazon account. So that is what we're going to be covering off. But with Tacos Tuesday, so this is the place for the best advertising tactics and strategies to grow your sales on Amazon. And here at Sell Global, we love helping brands do this. And we're an Amazon Ads verified partner, and we're looking after millions of dollars in sales of Amazon ads. Now, a funny thing happened the other day. Seb was interviewing for some advertising specialists in our company, and one of the applicants had been listening to the podcast. And she goes, "What are you doing sharing all this secret sauce?" And just kind of going, "You're crazy. You shouldn't be doing that." And so just thought I might bring that up. And so there's really two key reasons. First of all, we don't want to be giving high level generalities that are not actually actionable and useful. We want this to be really practical and useful for you. Look, some people will take what they learn from here and apply it into their own accounts, and they'll get results, or they'll test and they'll learn, and that is great. And then we also know that there'll be other people who listen to this and understand it and go, "Okay, that's really good. I probably don't have time to fully understand that, just given everything I've got going on." And then some of them may choose to have Sell Global help them. So that's what we're doing. We don't want to hold anything back, because then that's just a bit weird, and then this podcast just doesn't become useful. And look, and even for us as well, as we dive into the detail, we learn more ourselves and we push ourselves more, rather than just being a bit lazy and covering off on generalities. That's a tricky one there, isn't it? Anyway, so this week is no exception in terms of what we're going to share. And look, so Seb was sharing with me a tool that he's made to help our 3P customers, at least, really understand what is happening in terms of their total orders, total number of customers, and therefore being able to work out the repeat purchases and the lifetime value of a customer. Now, with Amazon third party, in the background, every order has a cloaked email. Every Amazon shopper has a cloaked email. So we can match up those emails to know that they have repeat purchase. Look, there could be some exceptions to that in a household. People have two different addresses, what have you, on their two different Amazon accounts, but this is basically the best way to do it. So today what we're going to do is we're going to dive we'll show you this example as well. So if you're just listening to this, we'll describe it well, and we'll also, it'll be worthwhile just having a quick look on YouTube to just see what we're talking about here. But we'll talk through the principles and it'll all make sense in that regard. All right, and we'll really be covering into the importance of this lifetime value piece, and there's some exciting places that this can take you when you look at this data. And so make sure you stay right through this to really get to the juicy bits there that are maybe not for everyone, depending on where you're at, but I think you'll find it pretty fascinating where it leads in terms of who you can start targeting. All right, so that said, let's get amongst it. So Seb, again, without assuming anything here, let's just go, what is lifetime value as it relates to Amazon, and how do you calculate it?
Yeah, cool. So, I mean, you covered it pretty well, but lifetime value is essentially customers that repeat purchase from you multiple times. The data we're going to share with you today is from a 12-month window, but really lifetime value could be longer than that, right? Depending on what your product is. The way you calculate it is basically you take your total orders and you divide it by your total unique customers to work out how many of those are repeat purchasing.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, look, let's actually share now. So one of the things before, one of the caveats of this here is there's a lot of data, right? When you've got 14,000 orders and the background sheet to this here has 14,000 lines and there's a lot of columns. So it gets a bit slow. So this is 4 months of data. You could do more. It's just going to take a long time for it to for it to load. But Seb, do you want to talk through what we're looking at here? Just starting at the top there, and again keeping in mind that some people will just be listening.
Cool. So basically at the top, we just have totals. So we have total customers and total orders. And sorry, that should say total unique customers. So that's total unique customers and total orders. We've then calculated the customer lifetime value and the customer lifetime value as a dollar amount. So as an orders and a dollar amount. So this is real data. This is accurate, actual data. So the customer lifetime value is 1.5 orders in this particular account. So for every one order, we're getting essentially a half order for every one order that we get. And then the customer lifetime value is $30. So this is off a product that's about generally $17 to $19. Obviously, the price changes, but that's the average prices in that range there.
Yeah.
So that's the top section. And then what we like to do is break it out by months. So below that, we've got the months on the left-hand side. So we've got December all the way from 2023 all the way through to December 2024. And the way to look at this, it's really tricky to get to originally to wrap your head around this. So it takes a little bit to kind of understand it. But if we take one of the months, and I'm going to take January 2024, the column header that says 0, that's all the sales that happened within that January period. Number 1 is the next month. So in this case would be February. How much of that revenue, that 52,000, came back and repeat purchased, right? So, and it's, that's repeat customers, but it's as a revenue number. So, of the 52,000, there was 3,736 that came and purchased again in February. Then the number 2 is March, number 3 is April, and so on and so forth. Now, the reason we use numbers at the top there is because obviously depending on what your starting month is, that will mean that the next month is different for every month after that, if that makes sense. So a little bit tricky if you're listening on audio to visualize that, but if you jump on YouTube, you'll kind of get an idea on what it looks like.
Yeah. And so these numbers here don't show because it's only 12 months of data. If you had 24 months of data, these would all be full. But what we're really noticing here is the tail of those customers, and just how that tail continues on. Here, really, it would be, obviously moves into 12 months ongoing, and that's a really interesting piece to be paying attention to. Actually, just backing up the truck, even just knowing your total unique customers and your total orders number and lifetime value of orders and lifetime value of dollars, that's really helpful, just even from a base level to be tracking, and then understanding, okay, how are we winning more customers? What's happening to our lifetime value? Are we doing things that are helping get them back? Are we offering, doing things to bundle better or cross-sell better, change our pricing, etc.? So that's all just really good information to have. Many people won't have it, but with that, you've got a lot of power. So how does knowing your lifetime value help make better decisions about your advertising strategy?
Yep, and that is the key point. Like knowing lifetime value. Like, okay, great, I know what my lifetime value is, but what do I do with that? And so the major way that lifetime value helps you is it allows you to invest more in advertising in order to acquire those customers. Your referral fees and fulfillment fees and everything else is going to be the same, but the part that you can then invest more in is the advertising side, because that customer is going to come back and repeat purchase from you on average, one in this case, 1.5 times, right? And that's worth that $30 lifetime value for you. So that's the primary reason that you'd want to know it, or one of the main reasons that you want to know it, is because you'd be able to invest more that other brands may be missing out on because they're not looking at data this way.
And what else from an advertising strategy point of view do you notice?
Yep. So from an advertising strategy point of view, knowing your acquisition cost, it allows you to know what you can pay for a new-to-brand customer. So one of the things we spoke about in previous episodes was about the importance of new-to-brand customers, why they're important. And so, like, if you're investing in, if you're tracking your lifetime value, you want to be making sure that your advertising is acquiring a new to brand customer, not one that's already existing or has purchased from you before, right? Because then the metrics wouldn't make sense, or that it wouldn't add up to what you need. So basically, you want to be paying for new to brand customers, and so you want to be tracking this alongside new to brand customers and acquiring those. So that's kind of the second main reason that you'd use it. As we've done this analysis, obviously this is what's going to help increase or improve your GP margin, your profit margin, not your contribution margin, but your profit margin side of things.
And actual profit, right? Actual cash profit.
Yeah.
So actually, and just while I'm here, as I scroll down to the next part, this is cumulative. So you can see what was 52,000 actually ends up being 68 in that particular month. And February there, that was 29,000, accumulates up to 41,000. So it just shows that tail. Now, as we're kind of looking at this here, what is a key mistake you see brands continually making with their advertising approach?
So one of the things we see is that a lot of brands are like overreacting to certain metrics. So, and they are important, but like there'll be some circumstances that come up are like, oh, my TACOS is too high, my profitability is down, I need to slash my budgets by half in order to improve things. And the next month things will look good. But what they don't take into consideration, particularly if you're, this doesn't apply if you're not a repeat purchase type brand, but if you are, this applies, heavily, is that you're not taking into consideration the drop-off that you're going to see in your lifetime value. So Hamish pointed out before, in that cumulative total, if you look at the second month there, which is February 2024, it starts off at 29. So in this instance, let's assume that January was good, but maybe we spent too much on ads and the TACOS was too much, so we cut it back in February, meaning our sales dropped off. And then you can see that in the lifetime value point of view, we basically dropped $20,000 nearly off the end of that figure. Now, there's a 1 month that's missing from there, but it's that compounding effect that happens when people overreact and make decisions like that. So if you are going to go make a decision that's like, I need to improve my profitability because I want to reduce my ad spend, reduce my acquiring customers, take note of what's happening to your lifetime value and how that's being impacted as a result.
Yeah, it's really, if you don't know that lifetime value, you're going to react and arguably irrationally about it, right? And again, the goal on Amazon is to build your organic sales and organic ranking is what you want. But if you stop investing the right amounts in acquiring new customers, then you will pay the price. You will miss out on that market share. And weird things happen in the market. Demand can just drop for a month for no particular reason, right across the board. You don't lose market share, but the demand on the platform has decreased. Seasonal factors or attention is elsewhere. That can happen. So important to be having a longer term view of what you are there to do. And this is one of the kind of challenges I know Seb deals with quite a bit with clients is how we have to continue to remind them of the longer term strategy that we're playing here. Yes, there's, we're all sensitive to red numbers that we don't like, but it is when you come back to this picture of lifetime value and understanding what we're doing here, this does pay off over time. And this is actually how you build. Your competitors can continue to cut or under investing because they don't understand what they could spend to build up their customer base, and that is a big challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, I suppose some brands on the other side of the coin will be like, oh, where do I draw the line in regards to, I can't keep investing forever, and you're not going to, right? The reality is what you're trying to do is you're trying to acquire more of the customers that sit in that group, and we'll talk about this in a minute, that those high value customers. They're the ones that repurchase often, they repurchase, a lot of units or high value products, and it's like, so you're using that repeat purchase to get more of those types of customers.
Yeah, agreed. I'm just going to stop sharing there, Seb. So that, I was just thinking here, how's this? I mean, this is third party data, and a number of people listening will be vendors. So what's the kind of equivalent on the vendor side that can be looked at?
Yeah, so you can get similar numbers on your subscribe and save from your vendor central account, and we can help you have a look at that as well. So that's something that we'll talk about that at the end as well. But, Amazon does give you subscribe and save numbers on a month by month basis by SKU. So, comparing that revenue versus your total revenue for that month, you can get an idea of how much of that revenue is coming in. You just get less access to the customer type. So, until you dive into those more advanced advertising strategies.
Okay, well that's right. And I just thought we'd bring that up, and a few other kind of what if or what about this question. So in terms of the product category, so that particular product there, 1.5 times. So that's for Amazon, and that's in the USA, probably normal. But if you have obviously a health supplement product or more of a grocery, like a really consumable type product, this is even more important. And in some cases, this is why you'll see really high bids, like say with Manuka honey, sometimes you see some crazy click costs, $25 plus. But that's where those brands that are doing that, they're big and they're understanding the lifetime value, so they will bid that, which gets interesting.
Yeah.
But even if you don't think you've got a product that's repeatable, you might have a catalog set or a brand, that is one that people would want to come back to. I'm just thinking of of honey sticks, for example, with the crayons. People might buy a set of the crayons, but then might buy it as a gift for something else, and then they might go, oh, they've got bath crayons, or oh, they've got this coloring in book. And so even though your product isn't consumable, there can be lots of reasons to get customers coming back. And so when you measure this number, is what you focus on, you improve. So then you can start to go, right, well, what could we do to get more of our customers coming back, even if you think your product isn't a consumable type of product. So that's something to
absolutely
keep in mind. Now, okay, let's talk about some of the really interesting side of things here. Like as we talk about repeat customers, but there'll be customers in there who are buying every month, and like 12 times. They've purchased 12 times. Some people, be a bunch have only purchased once and two, so it's all disproportionate, right? But as we break it down and go, well, what is it about those that are buying 12 times a year from us? How do we go about targeting more of those like ideal type of shoppers that we want to be? How do we target them? Like, what do we do there?
Yeah, so this is where you start to get into sort of the more advanced advertising side, which is the the DSP and Amazon's Marketing Cloud. So those are areas where you can segment your audiences on these things. And so for example, what some of the things that you can do is you can say, I want to target new to brand customers that are Prime members, for example, because one of the things we know is Prime members are 48% more likely to purchase at least once a week on the platform. So they're regular purchase type people. They're the type of people that we would call high value customers because they purchase frequently and they purchase more premium type products in general. And so you can start to use your advertising to be like, look, I know the importance of acquiring new to brand customers and I know the importance of repeat purchases, but I don't want to just splurge my spend everywhere. I want to be really targeted with my spend and target a specific group of people that I know over the long term, 6 to 12 months, are going to increase significantly my lifetime value. Because what we're trying to solve is like, okay, is 1.5 times my repeat purchase rate good? And the question is more not is it good? Is it how do I continue to get it better and better? Because if you're at 1.5 and if you're at 1.5 or 2 and your competitors lower than you, you're going to continue to gain market share and outstrip them. So but you can only really do that once you bring in these more advanced type ideas.
And so to be clear, that would be using the DSP system, or could you still just use sponsored display?
No, so in that case, you'd be needing to use
DSP
platform, DSP,
yeah, to get right into that line there. And this in Australia, this is going to be even more important. This is not factual yet, but it's we heard from a good source that there's 4.2 million Prime members in Australia now, and given the same day shipping in key cities is becoming really popular. the growth is expected to be 5.8 million by the end of the year. And so that's just under half the households in Australia that'll be having Prime. And so you can then specifically target those shoppers with your ads, or even breaking it down quite into demographics as well, and other behavioral trends as well. So the more you can kind of look at this data, and as a third party seller, at least look at that data and then understand, well, who are these dream shoppers that are going to keep on coming back, then things get really interesting. There is obviously a bit more of an investment required to do DSP to have it be worthwhile, but there will potentially come a time that is well worth your while.
And those barriers are lower in AU, much lower in AU than in other countries.
Yeah, so that was kind of the key things we wanted to cover off today. And as if you have seen those numbers, if you know your numbers, fantastic. Now you want to figure out, okay, what are we doing to get people to continue to come back? If you don't know those numbers and you'd like Seb to run 12 months of information or 12 months of your data through this tool, then reach out to him on LinkedIn or through the website gosellglobal.com and talk to him about that, and Seb could do that for you. And so then you'll know where you're starting from, know what your base is, and that could be a very useful starting point for you. So that's anything else to add, Seb?
We're just wanting to offer value, like I said, like we said at the start. So this is one way that we can do that. So if you guys, if anyone wants to learn what their lifetime value is, let us. We can help you do that, and then that might help make some of your decisions around your marketing spend and things like that easier.
Excellent. So good on these metrics, and as always, what gets measured improves, and this is one of those numbers that, as we said in other episodes, lifetime value. That number, then that's a big advantage. So you do want to know that number. All right. Well, look, thanks for tuning in again, and thanks, Seb, for building that tool and sharing with people about how to use that. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. And always, as always, we appreciate you listening. And if you want to subscribe or like all those good things, or give us any feedback as well through LinkedIn or other means, what you'd like to hear from us, we'd love to hear from you about that. All right. Thanks so much, Seb. Thanks everyone for tuning in. All the best.